guys, welcome to Charlie's video. In this one, he's going to be bringing you through how he brought me and using his strategies to a point in business where I'm making a shit ton of money and living life out here in Dubai. So listen up, take some notes because it's going to be some golden nuggets in here that you could potentially use in your business.
Exactly how we took Troy Sutton from making £7,000 to £40,000 a month in less than 3 months. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Charlie Johnson. I'm a former failed personal trainer turned online coach who's now sold over $11 million of fitness programs. I'm gonna show you exactly how we got Troy to crush it using the exact systems we used in my own business. So the first thing we actually focused on was getting high ticket sales and learning high ticket sales skills. So when Troy first started with us, he was charging like $250 a month. And this was partly because he was working with a company who basically pigeonhole you into doing this. It was a company called Linus who basically take 30% of this $250 per month. And we've had a lot of clients who've come to us who are stuck in this exact model, which is like almost like the anti-scale method, because you're losing 30% of the revenue up front, you basically work for another company. Now, what we did with Troy is we helped him to sell much higher ticket program prices in terms of at like £3,000 or dollars or euros or whatever price you want to sell him. And this then paid up front for a year or 6 months meant we could dramatically increase his revenue. And with doing this, we had to give him certain sales systems and teach him the right skills in terms of identifying which prospect he can sell at higher prices and then which prospects he then needs to sell at lower prices. And the fastest way for you to scale your business is to actually sell with people paying upfront. And the reason I say this is actually better for the client results, because if someone has an issue getting in shape and they've never gotten in good shape, them doing a monthly program is not going to help them to actually achieve the results they want. Psychologically, they're bought in monthly. So what we actually want people to do is like, okay, Troy, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. I'm going to step over it. And I'm going to finally commit to 6 months, 12 months to finally get in the shape I've always wanted to do. And this is how it then becomes very easy in terms of scaling a business, because we don't need to sign up that many 3K payments up front to hit big sales numbers, whereas $250 a month is a lot of clients you have to have. And the quickest way for you to scale is to charge higher prices upfront to get more revenue in, which you can then reinvest back into the business and get the flywheel effect. So one of the actual key tactical things I can give you for this is that on the call booking links, which we'll come onto in call booking systems after this, we got Troy to ask a couple of very important questions you need to know. So firstly, one would be the person's occupation. And the next one is going to be their budget. What are they actually willing to pay and invest? So one of the best things that we do is we ask people, how much would you be willing to invest into coaching per month if we could guarantee you the success you're looking for? And we start with nothing at all, I'll struggle alone, $250 a month, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. And that gives a big broad spectrum so we can see in terms of people's financial budgets where their head is at in terms of investment. We also look at their occupation, because if someone says for example, and one last one I'd actually add in here as well, is their age. If someone, for example, says they're 50 years old and they're the director of a law firm, but they say their budget, they'll struggle alone and they've got no money. If they're 50 and they're director of a law firm, we know they have money. They just don't understand the value of the program. And this is one of the big things we come in terms of teaching sales skills, which I'll come on to shortly. So when we're looking to sign up high ticket clients, we need to have sales skills. Now, what we want to look at is what's called your closing rate. And that's the percentage of people who come on a call, you sign up. Now, it can take a long time for you to basically get better in terms of sales skills. But the calculation in terms of what your closing rate is determined by is your closing rate equals your sales skills. And this is something you can then fix straight away, times your conviction. And your conviction is how convicted are you in your program and the results you can get people. How much energy do you have in terms of how you're going to change people's lives? And I'll give you an amazing example. One of our new closers come on to join our team, a guy called Ned. So anyone who's a beginner coach who wants to scale your business, you will speak to Ned. He is so enthusiastic, so convicted in the program because he's bought it. He's in our Fit Pro Launch Systems program and he's been through the exact process, built his fitness business to 10K a month. So he knows exactly how this can change your life. So he has 1,000x conviction. His sales skills are good as well, but this means he has a wicked closing rate. Now for you, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I don't really know much about sales, I'm gonna give you some bits in a minute will help. But if you get super convicted before the calls and you have that energy and drive, you will close more people. Now, some easy ways to do this are this. Number one, look at client before and afters and testimonials before the sales call. Like have a look through, get them in your memory, have them stored in your brain, because one of the most important things to sales is actually storytelling and telling stories about success stories. The second thing you want to do is look at your own success stories. What have you done in terms of your own life? How have you transformed your own physique? Like, I used to be a skinny, chubby kid when I was like 18. I was like skinny fat. I had no muscle, I was small. And now I'm 100 kilos plus with abs. So like, that would be my own transformation. I could go into a call with conviction and be like, okay, cool. I've added 20 kilos of muscle mass and actually gotten leaner over the last few years. So if I can do that, so can you. And this is where you need to have conviction in your process. Now, the next thing we're gonna talk about when it comes to sales, the biggest mistake most people make is they sell fitness programs based upon benefits and features. Now, what we want to do is definitely not that. No one cares about your app. No one cares about carb cycling. No one really cares. What we want to sell on is emotion. Human beings are emotional creatures. It's actually what makes us very weak in a lot of respects, and probably why AI will take us over, but that's another story. So in terms of emotion, what we want to do is play into people's emotions. So there's a couple of key things you need to know. What is the person's partner's name on the sales call? What are their kids' names? Now, the reason we use these is because these are the most important things in a person's life. Their partner's name, their kids' names. Now, what we can also do is we can profile people depending where they're in their life. So if it's a woman who, for example, say Jane is 35, and I ask her, okay, cool, Jane, so do you live on your own? Do you have a partner? No, I live on my own. Cool. Have you got any children? No. Okay, awesome. So is that one of the reasons you want to get in shape over the next few years, so you can try and find the man who you want to be with and start a family? Because there's probably a very strong likelihood that's it. So you have to look at where people are in terms of the timescale of their life, and that's going to make a big thing in terms of getting better in terms of sales calls. Because you need to understand people with emotion and not selling with benefits and features. I've got tons of other videos that go super in depth in terms of sales skills and how to close more people, but this is initially where we want to be looking. The last thing I want to give you for some value for this as well is that when you pitch people, don't give people a monthly price as an option at the start. This is a big mistake a lot of people make. So what I would do, I would start with say 12 months and then 6 months. So you could say to people, for example, it's 2K for 6 months or it's 3K for a year. These are two options. What do you want to do? What do you want to do, Joe? Do you want to join up for 6 months, 2K, or we do the whole year for you for 12 months? The second half of the year is only 50%. This then makes the 3K look very, very, very appealing. Now, if someone says, Charlie, well, I'd love to do it, but I just can't afford it right now, I'd be like, awesome. Like, what would work for you, Joe? Like, we can maybe try and do something. Like, what would be practical for you? Like, well, like, I can't do 6 months, but maybe I can do 12 weeks up front. So you get me for 12 weeks. Or worst case scenario, you get them a month and you're back at like $250 a month. But the reality is, if we can start to nick some of these here, your revenue will start to skyrocket. And this is exactly what we did with Troy, as alongside also taking off a software system that was fleecing out 30% of his revenue. So one of the key things we did with Troy is we got him to send us through his call recordings to make sure we got him to drive emotion into the calls. And we could help him in terms of actually improving his sales skills. So we listened to all of his calls, review them, give him feedback, and now he has 6 sales skills, and that's one of his strongest strengths, which he didn't have before. And one of the best strengths you can ever have in life is sales, because you will never be poor in that respect. This is how simple it is to scale your business and why Troy did so well, and it continues to do so well. We focus on doing 2 things. You book sales call, you close sales call. So we've talked about sales and how we're really good in terms of closing and the pricing options. Now we can talk about how in terms of booking calls. So the first thing you need is traffic. So Troy is really good on camera and he's good at making content. So we just had to help him in terms of refining who he's positioning that through to. And one of the big things actually was with the content he's making, he's really good as a content creator, is actually aging up. Because if Troy's looking to try and sell higher price programs, if he's making like super funny viral videos that are for like kids respectfully, they're not going to pay him 3K for a fitness program. Whereas if he's making funny videos or like viral videos that for someone who's like 30 plus, that's going to mean that he's getting people in eyeballs who have a higher amount of affordability. So with this, we helped him focus on actually aging up his content by changing some of the specific subjects. And some of the methods we used with Troy, you can get free access to below this video. This is in our 4C course, and that's completely free. So first thing we have to do is we have to get eyeballs, because best known beats best. The second thing, what we want to do is when we have traffic coming into videos, we need to have a call to action. And what do we do with these people? We want to send them all to the DM. So we want people to come into Messenger so we can have an actual conversation with them. And this is where basically it's like the battlefield of booking calls, as I was explaining it. And one of the key things we've done with this also is then automate the part of this process. So one of the things we would do, for example, is you could do a reel which is like, do a bicep curl like this, don't do it like this, and this will get you way bigger arms. Comment below arms and get a free copy of my arms guide. We plug a system called ManyChat into this, and that can automate the response to those comments and start the initial conversation. And this is basically how you can get leads on autopilot, also combined with what we now have Troy working with, which is our AI chatbot, which is basically a fully automated conversation setter, which can handle 100 conversations per minute. So we have him, we're using this automatic call booking system. This is essentially bringing leads on autopilot. The other thing within the DM system, we helped him in terms of hiring setters. So on top of having the AI, we need people who can do outbound messages to start conversations. And this is the skill in terms of actually starting to build a team and come into operations, which we'll come on to in a minute. But basically, when you have this system working as a 3-tiered approach of traffic to DMs and a method in terms of conversations to a call, it's then basically how can we get more people and more throughput through the system. So on theme of call booking, what we're going to talk about now is actually outbound messaging and where we're going to start conversation. The 3 places we'd have Troy messaging on social media are 1, new followers, very, very straightforward. 2, story viewers. And what I would include in this is poll voters, anyone who hearts and likes stories, and then 3 would basically be anyone who likes/comments on posts. This is basically a warm audience of people you can then message. Now, basically the goal of what you want to be doing in each steps of this, so what type of message you can send? So to new followers, I would do a this or that type of message. So essentially that's going to be, hey Joe, thank you for following me. What type of content are you looking for? Is it muscle building or is it fat loss? So like you're giving them one option or another, so it's really clear in terms of like easy for them to reply. You would then reply to that message and giving them some value. The second thing I would then do is go through people who vote on your polls. So for example, you could put a photo of you in really good shape before the summer and be like, who's in great shape, ready for the summer yet? Yes, I'm ready. No, I need to lose more fat. Everyone who votes on that poll, I would then DM. So be like, hey Joe, I saw you voted on the poll saying you're not ready for summer. What have you been doing trying to get in shape? Just start an actual organic conversation. And then third thing in terms of likes, comments and posts, and what I would do is probably something similar to the new follower post where say someone liked, maybe it's a shoulder training tip, for example, and then I'd message them and be like, hey Joe, thanks for liking my shoulder training tip. What's the main thing you're focusing on at the moment? Is it muscle building or fat loss? Is there any other content I can send you? Like create an actual conversation where you're giving value. And then essentially what we want to do from these conversations here is we want to do what's called the gap. Now in the conversation, you want to create the gap, which is where they are right now, and then like desired outcome over here. And the gap is the bridge over the middle. And what is solving this and creating the bridge from going from say Chubby Joe to Shredded Jack Joe, the bridge is basically you and your program. But we're going to get this bridge to come about and create that gap by asking them specific questions. And that's identifying what do they want to do, why have they not achieved it already, what have they tried before, and then basically we want to try and get them into a call so we can help them one-to-one. And that's basically the situation in terms of how we take DM conversations through to sales calls and then can close them. So number 3 is data tracking and funnels. So I'll come on to what funnels are in a minute. Data tracking should be fairly self-explanatory. Now, one of the most important things in business, if you'd like to make money, and if you're watching this video, smash the like button because you're here to make money, we need to be actually tracking numbers of certain metrics. So what do you want to be looking at? You want to be looking at obviously income. You want to be looking at expenses. You want to be looking at profit. This is basically like key financial numbers. Now we want to look at like actual lead generation when it comes to making money to achieve these goals here. The key things we need to look at are sales calls booked, because we basically book calls and close calls, show rate, close rate. So show rate is the percentage of people who show up, close rate is percentage of people who close on calls. We then want to look at average deal size per call. So this is essentially how much money you're making per call you're taking. So for example, if you took 10 calls and you only closed 1 and it was $1,000, you'd be making $1,000 per call taken, and that'd be your average deal size. The last thing I would really track on here is outbound messages sent by a setter or you, which we'll come on to in a minute in terms of hiring, and then also follow-up messages. How many old conversations are you restarting every day? Because For the average buyer, someone to buy a program for you, any guesses how many times someone needs to have a touch point with you? It's a lot. It's actually 7. So there needs to be 7 different touch points from you for someone to come into your world and buy something from you, which is why most people fail and they remain poor because they don't follow up. And one of the reasons Troy is doing so well is he systematized this process, and he's also very, very consistent in terms of knowing his numbers. So this all is what we focus with in terms of data tracking at a basic level. Now we spoke about funnels, everything is a funnel. So like in an actual V shape. So this is the way a funnel works. So we basically drive traffic in. So this will be from like say content, paid ads, which is something else we can come on to, which we've helped Troy crush it with. And this is basically like $ clients at the bottom. Now we want to get as many people into here and try to convert those through the process as possible. And we do that with actual website funnels. Now a funnel is for a website could be for 2 different objectives that we would use for Troy. So one would be a book a call funnel, which our primary objective is going to be to get people on sales calls who are warm. So that's going to be someone lands on the page, gets them to basically book in a sales call, then takes them to a thank you page. The second thing we want to be doing is then using a page to convert people who want some type of a lead magnet, get their details, email, phone number, name, and then basically add those into our email list and database. So that's going to be a lead magnet funnel. And these are essentially the basic 2 funnels you need that are very, very simple. And this is basically why over time it gets easier in your business, because you're building assets. Because if I give an example, if you're a trainer watching this video, we probably have 20,000 trainers' phone numbers at the moment who we can call at any time to be like, hey Joe, how's it going on? Are you building a business? That's an asset we have in our business. And one of the things we built with Troy is helped him to build this asset in terms of lead magnet funnels, call booking funnels. So you can basically convert as many people coming through here as possible, as efficiently as possible. And this is basically what data tracking and funnels looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is going to show you what we've done in terms of some paid advertising to utilize some of Troy's audience to take low hanging fruit, which I think had like a 6 to 8x ROAS. Next up, paid advertising. So this is something that you need to know how to do correctly. I've personally spent over $1 million on Facebook ads, which is why we have millions of awards. We're waiting for a big $10 million one to come because we've now done $11 million online. I've spent a lot on ads. I've lost a lot of money. I've made a lot of money. But I've helped Troy make a lot of money. So I believe, off the top of my head, his ROAS on his ads is 6 to 8x. And this is because we're primarily focusing on what's called a retargeting ad. Now, what is ROAS? Like, what am I talking about? So ROAS stands for return on ad spend. So this is basically like a cash machine. You put $1 in, he currently gets $6 to $8 out. Now, we're only really doing this on warm audience at the moment because he has a wide top of funnel with a lot of traffic. So what he's basically spending is something like £20 a day, $20 a day on a engagement ad to people who are basically viewing his profile or profile engagers. So these are already people who know Troy, who are warm to him. And basically, what are we doing with these ads? What are we trying to get people to do? Book calls, close calls, is get people into the DMs. So running DM retarget ads direct into his inbox. And these people already know who Troy is, so it's very easy for them to convert. The next thing I'd say in terms of what we do from a conversation point of view in getting people in from these like ads and how do they work, we use very, very direct intent-based ads. So it'll be like what I call an I am looking for ad. So it's literally, I am looking for 5 men in Dubai who want to get in great shape this summer so they can go to Europe and have an amazing time. Like that would be an example of a retargeting ad. Like I'm specifically looking for 5 people, or I'm looking for someone who wants to do X result within Y time frame. And the best performing of those are graphics, like a graphic ad. You can make them in Canva, very, very simple. Or you can also do them in terms of a real version, in terms of video. And Troy's made some superb ones of these. So this has been another weapon in his arsenal that we've helped Troy actually scale his business with to get more leads and more calls booked from a warm audience. So with the ads here we set up with Troy as well, the last thing I want to add in is that retarget ads is literally to the people who viewed your profile. But what you can do is you can also set some demographics for this. So for example, you can set age, gender, so like male, female, and most importantly, probably location. So for example, I tell most people, like in our own business, we target the big 5. US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, Dubai. That's probably our 5 we really target. Outside of that, we don't really want any clients because people from India and Pakistan aren't going to pay 3,000 euros for a coaching program. So it's not going to work. So this is like some criteria you'd add in depending on what you're looking for. And in Facebook and with a retargeting ad in particular, you don't need any interest targeting because it's literally just going to pull off the pixel. And the pixel is like the data tracking from your Instagram account that's coming into the system. And you have to set this up in Ads Manager. You can't do this as a boosted post in-app. So this is a very simple strategy. The only issue with retarget ads like this, it's very profitable, but you can't scale this massively because you only have so many people viewing your profile. The next thing we're working with Troy to get to the next level is focusing on cold traffic ads, which is taking basically random people on the street to making them high paying clients, which is slightly more difficult because obviously they don't have the know, like, trust factor. So one of the most important things that you want to have with your business is not the golden handcuffs. And this is where you'll basically change your business, you're working all the time and it doesn't work without you. What you actually want is a business to work for you. And this comes down to hiring and training people. So I'm going to show you basically what we did with Troy and who we basically focused on first. So this is Troy. Really, really good at making content, good at making traffic, but you can't do it alone. So what he basically, first thing we did is we helped him get setters or like VAs to then basically allow him to basically book more calls. We book more calls, this makes you more money. These people, you pay like $5 an hour and you can give them bonuses. So this is very, very cost effective in terms of actually scaling your business. The other things that Troy has done, he works with a very good videographer who's behind the camera. So he has Video Guy who helps him crush content because you can't film world-class content, do it all yourself. The next thing that Troy has is his actual own editor. We have a team of 5 editors in our business. You can pay these guys $5 an hour. If you're doing this yourself, you will remain poor. And the last thing you basically want to come into now, which is basically starting to get yourself out of some fulfillment, would be ideally want someone to come in to coach to then scale business up more as you bring in more people into fulfillment. But this big segment here is basically where Troy's really focused at the moment, just dialing in the front end. He likes coaching, he's coaching a lot of clients himself. And then this is basically the hamster wheel in terms of growing the business, just scaling more stuff to here. Now, this is how you get your time back and you create what's called leverage. And leverage is basically where you can pull one lever in terms of hiring one person and they can book you 3-4 calls a day. And it's not you constantly on your phone. And this is a big thing that makes a big difference in terms of growing the business, but also improving the quality of your life, which is probably one of the biggest things you want. Now, you're probably thinking, Charlie, where do I find these people? Well, don't worry about it, explain. So one place I would start straight away for free is Facebook groups. So if you go online and then you search digital nomads, Dubai, digital nomads, Cape Town, wherever, and you post job ads in there, there are loads of people looking for online work where they can earn like $2,000 to $3,000 a month. That's a lot if you live in South Africa, Eastern Europe, something like that. So first place I look for Facebook groups. Secondly, we have a recruitment company who we use who help us hire. If anyone wants details for that, if you drop me a DM on Instagram and just ask for it, I can send you over their details. The third thing I would do is I would post job ads on social media. And I would actually approach existing clients because some of the best people who can ever work for you are people who know, like, and trust you and who are massive fanboys. So if you put a job ad up saying that I'm looking for someone who can do some remote messaging work and they can earn $2,000 to $3,000 at home sitting in their pants all day, and this person really likes you and is a big fan and can storytell, that's a very appealing place to start finding people. And then the fourth place where I would hire would basically be Indeed, job website, or so you can post ads on LinkedIn, which is very, very effective. And those are the 4 places we hire the majority of our staff. And we basically have built a hiring pipeline, which I'll make a whole other video on. But this is basically where you want to go looking for people. And this is where Troy's basically found his team. Now, the specific countries I recommend hiring people from, my favorite at the moment is South Africa. So why do I say South Africa? Because they're very, very driven people. They're on a good time zone. They are culturally have a good fit. Like anyone who's watching this, if you have had Filipino VAs or from Pakistan, if you try and have a joke with them on like Zoom, it just doesn't fucking work. Yeah, it's good to have banter and you can have a real like collaboration with them. The second place I would say then after that's probably Eastern Europe, because there's a lot of very talented, smart people who are very hard working from Eastern Europe who don't actually need to earn as much money because the cost of living is lower. So these are the 2 primary places I'm looking. If someone's in North America, you might want maybe like US time zones, then like Latin America is good. But personally for me and where our businesses are focused, South Africa, Eastern Europe is really where we're predominantly looking. And then you can get people from places like the UK and Ireland, of course, but generally you're going to have to pay them more. So this is where I would go looking for the best team members. Check out this clip from the podcast with Troy.
Like I look at it in loads of different aspects, and that's what I've learned now. It's not just about making more money. It's not just about getting money up front, although that's great. It's more so about how committed your client actually is to the program. And if your client is committed, and like for an example, like some people could be watching this and be like, oh, like they just sound like scammers, but it's not actually. It's like to benefit them as well. If they put down an investment just like I did for the mentorship, I was like, holy shit, I gotta make this worth it.
And you did
yeah, exactly. I think as well, if you were to say to me right now, it's £40 a month for a mastermind, you know, I'd have been like,
take it seriously.
I'm not going to take it seriously because it's only fucking £40. You know what I mean? It's a takeaway. Well,
someone's
a big takeaway, a bingey. But that's what is as well. It's like if you just charge monthly programs, and even if you're like undervaluing yourself, which is a big thing I used to do, was like £99. This was 6 months ago. £99.
That's fucking wild. And you sold some programs now for like $3.5 grand.
Yeah, £3,000.
Yeah,
which I don't know what that is in dollars. Like 3,400.
That's the equivalent of 30 clients previously.
It's huge. It's huge, and that's one client.
And that's when you took the reality of you actually getting your business to the next level is like you can work really hard like a fucking idiot and drive yourself off a cliff.
And my mom actually said something to me as well. She was like, why are people paying that much? And I said it as well. I was like, it kind of made me think as well, why am I paying that much? Like, am I being bad? And I was like almost doubting myself. And I was like, no, because previously if I was selling £99 per month programs, whatever it was, with my quantity of following, at a stage I had like 300 clients, right? But what service were they getting?
Shit.
Fuck all. So instead, I was like, when you said it to me as well, I was like, instead it's like less clients will actually mean more money over time when you understand your value and stuff like that. I can actually personally DM all my clients. I can give them the service that I promised them on a call. And I can also not overwork myself, which is a great thing. When you're closing too much clients, you're underselling yourself. And that's a big thing as well. I was just so confused at the fact of how you could kind of charge more, give better quality, of course, which I found out over time. But I was like, if I was to, let's just say, get on 10 calls and I only close 2 of them, that would, to me, be a failure, right? But then when you said that, I was like, instantly, I was like, yeah, that's true. I'm probably just right at the right price bracket, right? It's what it's worth. So I was like, that's another eye opener. It's like these little kind of milestones or little knowledge bombs that you drop. It's like,
and that's where a lot of these things are frameworks you need to learn in business, because a lot of it's basic maths. And if someone said to me they've got 100% close rate, I'm like, well, your program's shit and it's fucking cheap, right? Because it's like, you actually want people to say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you think you're a good closer when you sell too much. But
it's like if I sold this fucking Rolex watch for a fucking £5, everyone's going to buy it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The close rate's going to be 100%. And the reality for most people is they need to understand that you actually want like a lot of people to say, not a lot, but like some people to say no, because it means you're probably at the right pricing point.
Yeah, for sure. But I think as well, you're only going to attract people that truly want the goals, which is better transformation photos, which is more clients in the long run.
And also going to be coachable and also not be a pain in the ass to deal with.
So these are the exact methods we used to take Troy from making $7,000 a month to $40,000 a month, from living in rural Ireland to now living in a 4-bedroom house in Dubai. If you want to use these exact frameworks, to go back through the video, but if you're looking for an actual one-to-one advice on how to take your business to the next level from someone who's actually done it personally and helped hundreds of other people do the same, there's a link below this video. You can book in a free call to find out exactly how we can help you. If you took value from this, smash the like button and subscribe.